Right. So what we are going to do right now is if 35 greater than 10, then print. How many spaces should I take?
4 spaces.
I'm going to say print 35 is greater. Okay, there's 4 spaces. See here in Python, right? So the blocks work like this. Okay, so I have my if condition. There is my expression. Okay, after that, I'm going to take 4 spaces and start my block here and start my block here. This 4 spaces thing, right? So it is basically called as indentation. Indentation. Okay, this is called indentation. Okay, if this block is, if this expression is true, I want this set of statements that are there in this blocks to be executed. Yes. And I want, if I want these statements to be executed when this is true, I have to push those lines 4 spaces within the from the if condition. That way we are saying these statements belongs to this block. These statements belong to this block. Am I clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
If name is equal to John, the name equal to John, followed by this colon. So expression if, then there is expression, then there is colon, which means the moment it says colon, okay, which means this is end of an expression. Expression is done by here. So if this is true, then I have to check after 4 spaces, whatever are the statements that are there, I'm going to execute it. This is how Python will work. Okay, so if you have written, then followed by, you will write an expression right after it. There is a space and then you write your expression. This expression should result in a Boolean. And after the expression, if it sees a colon, which means then it will go into the next line, moves to the 4 spaces and then finds if it has any statements. If it has a statements, then it is going to execute those statements. And if the statement is false, it will not go look for a next line. So it will stop the program there. So if it is false, it will not go into this. OK. So I have a variable name is equal to John. OK, if name is equal to John, then I'm going to say print. It's a double equal to, not single equal to. Single equal to is used as
To
assignment
assign
operator,
value.
right? Assignment operator. Hence, in order to check the equality, you have to use a double equal to. In order to check the equality, you have to use double equal to. Now I will say name is not John, but let us say name is equal to Shyam. Right. Now what I'm going to say, if name equals to one moment. If name equals to will it print the statement? Here name is Shyam, but what am I comparing it with? John. Is Shyam equal to John? This will result false, and hence this statement will not get executed. This statement will not get executed. Here I'm comparing it with John, and here it is a success. This value returns true, and hence this statement will get executed. Okay, we'll try this example. Right. Right. If then there is a space name equal to John. If it is equal to John, so it is automatically your ideally is automatically taken that 4 spaces because after colon I'm going to write a statements that belongs to this if block that belongs to this if block. I'm going to just say print name is matching with John. Done. And if I hit one more enter, it goes out of the if block without writing anything. If you just hit one more enter, it goes out of the if block. And see, if you see here, name is John and I'm my comparison if name equal to John is matching, and then it goes to the next line, and hence it is printing name is matching with John. Name is matching with John. And what I'm going to say is name is Ram, and I'm going to compare it with if name equals to John. In this case, print name is matching with John. What happens? Will it print this statement or not?
No, it won't print statement.
No.
It won't print anything because the statement, right? Name equals to John. What is there in my name? What is there in my name? It is Ram. And what am I comparing it with? John. So name equals to John is written false, right? If my name is John and when I say name equals to John, then this is result in true. And this if block will executed only if this statement is true. Only if this statement is true, this if block will get executed. Okay. Now A is equal to 10, B is equal to 40. Now A greater than B, true or false? False. A is 10 and B is 40, and hence it is not greater than B. This will return false. And if A greater than B, then print, let us say, I'll just use some values like this. It will not print anything because it is not greater than B, right? If A lesser than B, then in this case, what happens? Right? It is going to print. Because this condition is true now, A is lesser than B, 10 is lesser than 40. Fruit is equal to orange. If fruit equals to orange, print. Will it print or not? So here in the fruit variable, the first character, which is O, is in uppercase, whereas the string that I'm comparing it with, the first character O is in lowercase. And in programming, capital O is different from a small o. Capital O is different from a small o, and hence it will not match. Just like any other programming language, Python is also a case sensitive language. Capital A is different from a small a is different from a capital A. So there is a difference. You cannot, and your comparison will always fail when you are trying to compare it with a capital and a small. Okay. Now, what if I do this? If fruit dot lower equals to orange, then print. What if I do this? Now, what does the lower function do? It returns a string width by converting all the characters into a lowercase. Yes. And after converting that to a lowercase, who am I comparing it with? I'm comparing it with another string where all the characters are lowercase. Then in this case, will it match or not? And once it matches, it prints the value. Prints that whatever is there in that statement. Now, in this case, what the important thing that you have to remember is two things. You have to write if there is a space, and then you have to write your expression. Then you have to write your expression. And after that, you have to write your colon, which means you are saying that this is the end of my expression. This is the end of my expression. After the end of your expression, you have to take 4 spaces. So in this, ideally, it is basically taking the 4 spaces by itself, right? Most of the editors will do that, but generally you should ensure that it will take 4 spaces. Now, if I don't give 4 spaces, if I don't give 4 spaces, right? See, I did not give any space here, right? I'm starting in the very next line, and then this is a syntax error. This is the syntax error. Expected a indented block, indented block. So you have to give 4 spaces, and then that is called, that 4 spaces is basically called as indentation. Indentation. Syntax error. If you don't give it, it is going to throw an error. Syntax error. Expected an indented block after if statement. After if statement. Is this clear? Now, homework would be, you have to learn about another set of operators called as logical operators. We have seen comparison operators. We have done with comparison operators. Now I want you guys to read about logical operators. What are they? How are they used? What are they and how are they used? You have to tell me tomorrow. Okay, you have to tell me tomorrow. Okay, this is the homework for today.
Okay.
Read about all the string functions that we
Okay,
have
sir.
discussed today, which is count, split, index, find, formatting. These are all the things that we have discussed as part of the strings today. Split function, index function, find function, formatting, count, every one of it is important. Every one of it is important. You have to be clear. You have to practice, practice, practice. And after that, we have started decision making, which is our control structures, right? The first set of operators that we have learned as a comparison operators, and we have used our if and if block to understand the thing. If expression followed by colon, then takes 4 spaces, which is also known as indentation, and then write your block. If this expression is true, only then this block will be executed. If the expression is true. If the expression is false, directly it will flow to the next future lines if there are any, but it will not come into the block. So how your code flows, let us say you are passing through a particular road. You are passing through a particular road. Okay. And let us say okay. Now what we are doing is, here is your friend Ram home. Here is your friend Momin's house. And here is your friend Krishna's house. Okay. Now, as you are going through, if you see a path to the Momin house, you go to the moment's house and then you come back and you want to proceed further. Okay, then if you are proceeding further, okay, if there is a path, you want to go and then come back, right? This is like your code flow. So once after your if block is executed, if condition is executed, you will come back and you should proceed further in the same line. You should proceed further in the same line. It is not like, okay, if there is down something, okay, my program will not get terminated here. No, your program will execute further. Once if block is executed, then it will keep proceeding further. Okay, it is if block is true doesn't mean that okay, I'll go execute that statement and my program will end. No, right? If there is still going and here there is no road here. Okay, this is the end. So you reach this house and that's it. That is when your program terminates. Okay, so your first expression is true, second expression is true, then it whatever that piece of block of statements will get executed and then your program will still continue. If condition true means doesn't mean that it will go execute that statements and stop the program. No, it will continue further. It will continue further. Okay, so I'll explain more about this tomorrow.